All right, well, welcome everybody to tonight's version of Connecting Families from the Federation for Children with Special Needs. We are super excited tonight to have you. This is an opportunity for us to talk about various things that are relevant to families who have children with special needs and to really connect together, really build that sense of community amongst us. And this is something that the Federation has been doing for a few years now, and I think since the pandemic, which has been really important for families to get the kind of information that they need on a day-to-day basis. Tonight, we're going to be talking about inclusive opportunities for activities in your child's school. And so we are really excited to have two people with us, well, actually four people with us to talk about this. First, we have Patti Doherty, who is the VP of Schools and Community Development for the Special Olympics here in Massachusetts. Patti has joined the Special Olympics in Massachusetts in 2002 and has been managing the Unified Champion Schools strategy and programming since 2014. She's been instrumental in the start of interscholastic unified sports here in Massachusetts. And through SOMA's partnership with MIAA, students with and without intellectual disabilities from middle and high schools across the state have had the opportunity to participate together as equitable teammates in a variety of sports. And over the years, Patti has seen the Uniform Champion School strategy grow from 14 schools to over 375 schools from pre-K to college. Unified sports is an ultimate galvanizer, and that training together and playing together is a quick path to friendship and understanding. I couldn't agree more. So welcome, Patti. Also with us is Denise Larrabee, Manager of Inclusive Schools Programs at Special Olympics in Massachusetts. She has been doing this in Southern Massachusetts, the Cape, and the Islands, and with over 30 years of business experience, Denise joined the Special Olympics in 2023 to leverage her skills and passion for fostering inclusivity. In her role, she collaborates with middle, elementary, and high schools to implement the Unified Champion School strategy, promoting a culture of acceptance and understanding among students. Welcome, Denise. And then also with us are two other folks here who are SEPAC chairs in their respective community. We have Kerrie Moreau, who is from Westport. I found out where that was today. So if any of you are wondering where that is, we can fill you in. And not only is she the chairperson of the Westport SEPAC, she's also a teacher in the Swansea School District and the proud parent of two very special children with special needs. And then also we have Mandy LaClair, who is here from my hometown of Haverhill, Massachusetts. That's Haverhill, yes. And she is the chair of the CPAC there. So we are really excited to have this exciting panel of people here to help us to understand the strategy of unified sports across the state of Massachusetts. Just want to remind people that if you are in need of interpretation services, there is a link in the chat that will, and if you set that up, you can put it in the language of your choice, and we will do our best to keep our pacing as slow as we possibly can in our excitement today so that everybody gets the information they need. So without further ado, Denise and Patti, take it away.
Goodness, so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us. I'm just going to share my screen, Patti, so we can get started. So I'm just going to do that, everybody. Let's just get this all, let's see here. All right. All right. Can everybody see that okay? Let's see. There we go.
Looks
Everybody
good.
see that okay? Yes,
Yeah.
Patti, can you see that?
Sure can.
Perfect.
Yep, that's great.
Okay, great. So I'm Denise, and I'm so happy to be here with Patti. Patti's been with the Special Olympics Massachusetts for such a long time, and I am new to the organization, but I couldn't be more proud to be part of it. One of the things that really drew me to the Special Olympics was this Unified Champion School strategy, working with parents like you. And educators to bring inclusive opportunities to school is just the most joyful thing in the world. And really what we'd like to do is just give you a quick overview of what the Unified Champion School strategy is. And then we'll kind of segue into, some of the questions that we've gotten from you all so far. And then we'll introduce you to Kerrie and Mandy to give them, for them to give you some ideas of how they partnered with us. So then you can partner with your CPAC can partner with us here at the Special Olympics to introduce the strategy to your schools. So then you can get these wonderful, inclusive opportunities in your communities. So to start out with, Patti, if you don't mind, I'll just give a quick overview of the three components. Okay.
Great.
So um, our strategy is really not a program. It is truly a strategy. So what's really wonderful is that the Special Olympics provides all these plug and play free resources to schools to really implement a three component strategy, which you see right here on the screen. The three components of this strategy are really bringing students who have intellectual disabilities with students who don't. And really, overall, it's just for the whole entire school community to absolutely implement some really incredible social inclusion acceptance and opportunities. So the first component is something that is very exciting. It's the unified sports component. And at each school level, it looks different. So for your elementary, your middle, high school, college, it's going to look different, but it is the same thing. We're looking for unified sports opportunities in schools. So at the elementary level, which Kerrie can certainly speak about at her school, is the Young Athletes Program. So that's for your littles, and then we also have Unified PE also at the elementary level. At the middle level, we have Unified PE, but then we start providing opportunities to be part of a sports team. So you have at the middle level, we have Unified Basketball. And we also have now, starting this year, I don't have in here, we're going to be having unified strength and conditioning. And then at the high school level, we do have did I say bocce too? Sorry. At the middle level, we also have unified bocce. We just ended that with a jamboree, which is exciting. At the high school level, we have unified basketball, unified strength and conditioning, and unified track and field. So these are wonderful opportunities for your students, family members to become part of a rich experience as being part of a team. The second component is the inclusive youth leadership, which is really teaching children or students about leadership opportunities, whether it being part of a unified club. One that's very popular is Best Buddies, but it doesn't have to be Best Buddies. At the elementary level, we may see something called like a school may just make up a name like a Unified Friendship Club. Also, opportunities are your Unified Young Readers Club, which is something that is really fantastic in the elementary level. We have a whole, wonderful curriculum for that educators can use. That you have the older students, like your fourth and fifth graders, reading some great stories to the younger students that really speak about social inclusion. Um, at the middle and high school, you can have the Inclusive Student Council, as well as a great opportunity to be part of our Youth Activation Council at the high school. So these are great opportunities to really bring those two populations together, be unified, and really working towards helping the whole entire school to become a more inclusive environment. And that leads into our third component, which I think is the most important, because you have, opportunities in sports and clubs. However, maybe students are not going to be involved with that. So you really want to really sprinkle these great messages and to the rest of the school. And how we do that is with the whole school engagement component. And that is really a great opportunity for the Unified Club, your sports programs, and everyone to get behind, whether it's a kindness campaign, it's a campaign for What we have in March nationally, it's the Spread the Word Inclusion campaign. There may be different things that they can do at the to support the unified sports teams by doing something called Fans in the Stands, which you have your pep rallies and you have the, all that great support to cheer on your teams. And then we have other things that we have that are like fundraising opportunities. That's something that has become very popular, is our polar plunge, whether it's at a local lake or now we have something that is called our mobile plunge that is a wonderful opportunity that we actually have. It's not a dumpster, but it looks like a dumpster. I hate saying that. That it's but it's a wonderful big tank, I'm gonna call it, and it's on wheels, and we bring it right to the school, and it's called Bear Force One, and it's a great fundraising opportunity. Again, whole school engagement opportunity. So these are the three components of the strategy, and what we do for Special Olympics is we work with the schools to help implement this strategy. So those are the components. Anything that you want to add, Patty, about these components?
You did a wonderful job. Perfect.
All right. So, Patty, maybe you want to go into this piece.
Yeah, so I think that this graphic just really is a good example just to show that Special Olympics, you can be involved in Special Olympics as early as 2, and actually as old as, I believe the last I heard, our oldest athlete could be, I think, 87. And so that's a pretty long span. And in between, this is just a good graphic that shares with you all of the levels, obviously, of schools from preschool, elementary, all the way through college programming. And then you'll see that red line is where our community program fits in. And that is for athletes and unified partners from ages 8 plus. And that's where we get to our oldest athlete being 85 or 87 years old. So I think maybe what I'd love to do is just take a second here. And there was a question that came in, and I thought maybe while this graphic is up, this is a good opportunity to help to answer this question. What the question was really a lot about our different terminology and words that you hear, from Special Olympics activities to unified sports to town park and recreation departments and schools. And is it an adult or buddy coverage issue? Is what are considerations? So really what I want to get at, and then I can get into this question a little bit deeper, is that I think the best way to explain it is putting 2 different buckets of schools versus community programs. And it's not to say that our schools and community programs don't overlap, but there is a pretty clear delineation between the schools and the community program. So our schools programming, we work with schools, and the schools actually, they own that programming. It is their programming we support. So I think that's kind of the best way to do that. We even have grants for all schools to start off their programming, to help what we call seed money, to really start to get it so that then it can then be incorporated into the budget. And then our community programming is, if you follow Special Olympics on social media, you'll see all sorts of different sports seasons and sports activities that are happening. And we actually have, I think we're up to 24 sports that we run. And I think you can kind of think of that as kind of like the competitive arm to our programming. Not to say that we don't have some competitive sports in schools, but it's more like the club sports for typical students, or, that you see in your recreation, your towns and all. So at the community level, that's where, like I said, we have 24 sports, of which 19 of those are also unified. So there's traditional and unified program opportunities, but they are different between schools and community. So I want to make that differentiation. The Parks and Rec, there are some Parks and Rec departments. Haverhill is, oh, actually, I take that back. But Parks and Recs do have a lot of our Special Olympics programming, and that is all on the community side. There was also a question in this same question is having to do with insurance. And there is, we handle all of our certificates of insurance through on the community side. And then for the school, the school is the one that holds the insurance because it is a school's program. So would be happy to delve into any of that quite long question that I didn't, that I think I answered most of it, but if there's any more questions, we can get to those afterwards as well.
So where are we? We are everywhere. It's so exciting. So this is our 17th year implemented the Unified Champion School Strategy across Massachusetts. We have, I just brought on another school this week, and I know, so I think we said 375, but I think we're actually more than that now. So we're in, let's just say 380. Let's say it, Patty. We're at 380 schools.
At least.
I like it throughout Massachusetts, which is really exciting, but we have so much more work to do. And that's why we love to partner with our SEPACs, because we can work together to introduce this strategy to your schools. So then you can have that rich programming in there as well. So you may see, you're looking at the map, you're like, oh, wait, boy, there's a lot over here. There's not enough over there. Well, we agree. That's why we're on the move a lot. All right. So where do you start? And that's really where the discussion is tonight. We want to really, link arms with all of you. So I understand that this PowerPoint's going to be emailed out to everyone. So you'll have this these slides, and this is the email address that we'd like for you to email us. Schools at specialolympicsma.org to schedule a meeting with us. We'll look where you are in Massachusetts and then connect you with the person who handles that region. If you are in southern Massachusetts, that would be me, but we do have other team members that handle the other regions. And then the next step would be we would work together, we'd have a meeting, whether it's Zoom or in person, really talking about your school, what your history has been with that school, introducing some kind of unified programming if it hasn't been anything, or if it has been something. Really get a strategy together. And then we would work together to schedule a meeting with your school's principal, special education director, whoever the key players are that you think should be the ones that we contact first. And then we'll go arm in arm, whether it's the Special Olympics first contacting the school, or having you first contact the school and bringing us in. But that would really be where we would start. So I love this quote, because we get so many joyful messages from people who are working in these schools, whether they're coaches, they're teachers, they're liaisons. And the liaison is that key person that we work with at the school that tell us how much it's impacted their school culture. And I think that's what's exciting about this. This is what we're doing together. Linking arms to really make significant change, and really, giving that true rich experience for everyone at the school, to have a culture all about inclusion. So this is a quote from one of our educators that I always like to end my presentations with. I think it just sums it all up. So I think at this point, we were going to finish with that and then go on to introducing. Let me just stop sharing this. Introducing Kerrie and Mandy, who are here tonight with us, who have been on, have been really working on the end of the SEPAC end with us to open up start the conversations with different school districts in their area to introduce a unified champion school strategy. So Patti, do you want to maybe go in that direction, or I didn't know if you wanted to say something else before we got started?
No, I think it would be great to hear from both of you. Thanks.
Okay, all right. So Kerrie, I'll introduce you first. Kerrie and I have worked closely together. And Mandy, I know you've worked with Michaela, who is, who does exactly what I do, but in a different region of Massachusetts. You got both have been so important to us to really open up those conversations with the schools in the area. So, Kerrie, maybe if you can just give us a little idea of, who you are again and what you have done and how we kind of partnered to get into the Westport school district.
Yeah, so I do wear many hats, I feel like, with the Special Olympics and have seen it on all angles, which I think has been a huge motivator. So for Westport, I am the CPAC chair. I have brought the CPAC back over the last 2.5 years for the town. Along with that, for 3 years, I've worked in a district as a special educator that has been a unified school and district throughout the community. So I saw the effects of this, and I have experience with Special Olympics from my youth with a sibling with severe needs that was a participant in many Special Olympics. And the passion has always been there for social inclusion, seeing what that means for all involved and learning from it, and then also inspiring careers like mine, or for her, inspiring the strength, the courage, and the motivation to move on or live each day. So that's kind of my background with it all. When I took over the CPAC in Westport and, had started having some conversations with key players like the superintendent, the special ed directors, some teachers, some families, it just seemed like there was something missing to the programming that was fantastic in town. But like, how did these kids play sports? How did they participate in after school activities? And that's where I kind of partnered with Denise and tried to figure out a way that this would work for our district to bring it in. And I think some of that was a lot of meetings, a lot of, step by steps following how can this happen, meeting with key stakeholders, like she mentioned, but also just kind of seeing what it could do. So finding that collaboration between other districts in the area for them was key, along with hearing from myself and others. So that's kind of how we worked with it in Westport. It took a process. It did start a while ago, and this is their first year signed on, which is amazing. And they are seeing the purpose of it all, hearing the feedback, hearing those friendship stories, and seeing from families what an impact this can have. I'm sure it's only going to keep growing from there. But just making those first steps, I think, is the key.
Mm-hmm. And Kerrie, really, it was a little bit of a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And Kerrie sat with the superintendent of schools. All of a sudden, I started getting a little, some all of a sudden some inquiries through our Special Olympics Massachusetts website, and so, oh my gosh, Kerrie, it's happening.
Yeah.
And then I reached out and scheduled meetings. First, it was with the elementary school, and they just, really just were ready. They were absolutely ready for it. And then the middle school signed on this year, and they're doing so well. But they had a lot of questions. Sat down with the principal, the special ed director, really a lot of questions, and that was okay. And the biggest thing I really emphasized to them is that let's do this slowly. We don't have to do this, everything at once. And I think that is one of the key parts, is that when we come in to have those conversations, we really want to learn about what the school's doing already, because they're probably doing a lot of things that can kind of hit the buckets as far as the components that we're trying to implement, and they don't even realize it. And we're complementing what they're doing, or we're introducing something. So there, the middle school started unified bocce. It was their, no pun intended, a slow roll to get started. And they're doing so well, and it's exciting. Thank you so much, Kerrie. I'm sure there's going to be questions at the end for you.
Certainly.
And Mandy, just now going over to you, really if you wouldn't mind, let us know a little bit about you and how you really partnered with the Special Olympics to introduce us to them.
Sure. So my name is Mandy. I have a 6-year-old special needs child in first grade in Haverhill. We struggled because he had a lot of areas where he just he has apraxia, but he has dyspraxia, a whole bunch of different things. And he struggled with sports, but he wanted to fit in. And so we tried our local soccer, and that wasn't through the schools. It was just a local thing. And we did okay up until this year when it started to get real. And it just wasn't as inclusive for him as it could be. And we've tried other, different variations and haven't had luck. And then we stumbled across the Special Olympics youth athletes at Merrimack College. And that was our first foray into finding out about it. And it was just a godsend. I can't say enough things about that program. But my biggest thing that I found from that was the lack of I want to say my Haverhill families. I'm sure it's, in other, cities and towns as well, but nobody really knew about it. They didn't understand that it was inclusive. They didn't understand that you could, if you have multiple children and one of them is pretty typical, but the other one's not, they're included, and so they didn't really understand. I didn't know, when I first started it, my son's best friend is autistic, and she found the Special Olympics program through an autism website. And suggested we sign up. And I'll never forget, I was daunting looking at that form, and I said, am I signing up for a child with a disability? And she's like, Mandy, he has a disability. You've got to sign him up. And in my head, it just wasn't, I couldn't compute. And so it was the best thing I ever did. And then, now fast forward, we've gone through our preschool and we're in the school system, and I'm still seeing the lack of opportunities for the kids with needs. It's not always easy. We don't have a lot of, from what I can tell so far, a lot of sports that is really, especially in the school system, but even outside, things that the town offers that are really inclusive. Like I mentioned, soccer. We've been doing it, when it was just, playing back and forth, red light, green light, he was all right, but now you got a real game. And when you have kids with spatial awareness problems or sensory, or, it's just not something they want to do, but the kids want to try it. And then you have the situation where a lot of our families are, low income families. We have, that area where, families can't be traveling all over the state to try to find opportunities for their children. So I really wanted to see it in our city, which prompted me to have a discussion with Michaela and kind of get a feel for what we have. Our high school definitely has unified sports. They were the first ones to start. Basketball, I hear, is a big thing. We haven't been able to go yet, but I've heard it's a real nail biter. But everybody loves it. And most recently, we found out that the one of our schools has bocce. The middle school has a bocce. Which is great. I think it's wonderful. But the problem I'm seeing, and which is why Michaela and I are putting our heads together, and I really want to see this come through. We're working with the special ed department and whatnot, is that I also substituted in my son's preschool almost daily for 2 years. And I was mostly in classes that had special needs, whether fundamentals, milestone, all levels. And I'm seeing such an increase and spike in the ratio of typical to non-typical, and there's not enough for them to feel included, and that bothers me. And so I know that they would obviously welcome my son, or any of the children in, but it's not really geared towards children that maybe can't focus completely or just can't keep up with the other kids, things like that. And so, and we have a lot of schools in our one city. So I have been trying to work with Michaela and obviously the special education department and whatnot to see if there's something we could do, because we have nothing on the elementary level. And there are so many of them, so many kids that I think would love it. And I really think it would be a great opportunity. And especially with our families, there's a lot of families around here that aren't able to do things like this for their children. And I feel like this would be a great opportunity for them. So that's kind of where we're coming from. We're very lucky. There's one thing in Haverhill. It's not school provided. It's called Buddy Ball. And it's all ranges, all ages of special needs children. And I'll tell you, between that and Special Olympics, it's really the only two activities that my son can participate in. And I mean, he wants to try other things, and I know the other kids do too. And that's just not, to my feeling, it's just not enough. And that, like I said, that is not with the schools either, but where there's this opportunity and you guys are so well versed in helping the schools and you want to help the schools, my feeling is we should be trying to work with you guys, which is why I'm trying to get more involved or get my school system more involved and partaking in this, because really I think it would be a wonderful benefit. Just what I've seen at the Special Olympics, the young athletes for Merrimack College, I mean, amazing what they do. I've actually gotten quite a few Haverhill families to start joining the last couple of seasons, and they've loved it. we promote it nonstop on our CPAC page, because honestly, it is, I know you guys, I tell about the ones that are further away, but I'm like, it's so close to us. And it's a great program. And there's 2 age groups, and the kids just have a blast. And the volunteers are amazing. Everyone that we worked with in the Special Olympics programs have been amazing. So I really feel that having unified sports or the unified reading or any of those unified programs would be a phenomenal addition to our schools.
Love it. Thanks, Mandy, so much. And I think your story is everyone can relate to on this call. So that's what we're here to talk about today is, how can we help you, partner with you, go arm in arm to introduce, these incredible opportunities for schools to, to partner with the Special Olympics, to bring more of those social inclusion opportunities. So, the students have something to do and really grow, not only physically, but also socially. Socially is the biggest thing. And I know Patti will probably jump in on this because I'm just going to kind of segue now as far as, maybe opening it up to Q&A. But Patti, is there anything else that you want to ask Kerrie and Mandy, maybe to open up some more conversation about us and SEPACs?
No, I think the one thing that I do just want to quickly share is where we started when we started with those 11 schools. We really started at the high school level. And when you think about it, we would have loved to have started at the elementary level because, the preschool and the elementary, because then as they grow, we are growing with them. But the reason why we started with the high school level is because we had that partnership with the MIAA and we could impact a lot of schools pretty quickly. So that's why we got to the high school level first. And then now we're going backwards. So we have I think over 160 high schools. And then now I think we're at least 50 to 60 middle schools. And now I think we're really excited to hit that elementary group. And I think I'm pretty spot on from being involved in back in the day with my kids going to school and our CPAC, and CPAC really touches. I think those that are super involved at the beginning are the ones that have the elementary age students, because you're so involved with your kids, adventure through the levels. And so I'm hoping that there are a lot of people that want to connect us with some more elementary schools, because there's so many elementary schools out there. And like, Denise has really been sharing, is we're so excited to bring this to as many schools that want it. And we understand sometimes it's not the right time, but we're never going to, okay, that's fine. We'll connect again with you next year, connect with you again, the following year. The great thing about this program, we're not charging anything. And actually it's the opposite. We give grants away so that you can start the programming. So I just kind of wanted to share where we're at in terms of elementary schools. And I'm just so excited that you've got, been hearing 2 great stories from folks that are really starting at the elementary and really making an impact.
So I think at this point, I don't know, Elizabeth, if you wanted to open it up to some Q&A, maybe I'm sure there's some questions out there that we'd be happy to answer or guide.
So Denise, this is Leslie from MassPAC. Sorry,
Hi,
I was a little
Leslie.
late.
Okay.
And I'm going to be helping with some of the questions. Thank you everyone today for coming. I think it's just the awareness of this opportunity, this programming for districts. And I'm challenging all of the CPACs to make that first call to say, what do we need to do? What's available? I also hope that they'll learn that you have a website where they can see what districts are currently involved and where some of those programs are. And some of it is just like, oh, I didn't know about that. And like, help me find out more. And thank you, Mandy and Kerrie, for, championing this. And I hope maybe you can just talk a little bit about, how much time this took to kind of get off the ground. Because I think all of my poor CPAC officers feel like, oh my gosh, one more thing to do. But I think you may find somebody in your CPAC who wants to champion this and take it on as a special project, or, how much work did it take?
So for Westport schools, it's been about a 2-year process of figuring out all the logistics. So obviously, no person in the field is against inclusion. There was never that thought, but it's the logistics of it all. Who's going to fund it? Who's going to run it? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And it can be overwhelming. So I do feel like, for our CPAC, it was mainly me as the chair, kind of staying on it and reintroducing the topic over and over again. And we do quarterly meetings with our superintendent and our special ed directors and some school committee members. I presented at a couple school committee meetings. So it's finding that inner passion and then taking it and running with it. Denise also worked, I'm sure had many meetings with them and was always answering questions for them. But it is not an overnight thing. But what was realized throughout the process is the districts are doing many of these things already. They're just not qualifying it under school champion schools. But then once you start having those conversations with the stakeholders and saying, you guys are doing this through, then they kind of realize oh, this might be an easier process than we thought. And then in our district, the teachers that have taken it on, they want to be challenged. It's yeah, we did that, but I'm not just going to settle for that. I'm going to do 10 times more, or not 10 times, but 5 more check marks on the list to make it even better. So each year it just keeps growing and growing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mandy, it was easy, right?
We're just starting. This is my second year as CPAC chair, so I'm kind of just getting into all of this and pushing for it. So far, it's not it's been a huge time sucker. I wouldn't want anybody to think that it just sucks up all your time. It's worth it, though. We have some meetings set up. We've been researching it. I've been, word of mouth type of thing, but I think it's worth it. It's not it's not an easy thing. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you stick with it and you really are passionate about it, it doesn't really seem like work or anything like that. To me, it's just a benefit to the kids, not just my own child. I see so many, and I know the families are supportive. They would want this. I've had many ask for it, and sorry. I have a very hungry child. Sure, honey. Never stops eating, I'm telling you. But yeah, it's one of those things that if you really talk to people, you'll find that they're so interested in it that it's worth it. And there are people that would back it up, and that, it's not something that you're doing for nothing. It will benefit so many, and people that don't even realize that it would benefit them, when they hear about it, they want to help.
The other benefit, I think, is that once they learn about that program, they might learn a little bit more about SEPAC and the SEPAC involvement. So it is kind of like a SEPAC outreach type of activity where you're bringing more families together. Now families are making connections within the district. They're connecting to the other resources in the district and the SEPAC. So I see it as a win-win everything. There is one question so far that's been posted in the chat. Denise and Patti, have you worked with a private, like a Chapter 766 school? These are the out-of-district placement schools, and that relationship between their programming and and the district programming.
Absolutely. I will say that it looks just a little bit different than what we talked about, because there is not the population of students with and without intellectual disabilities at the private schools, but there's lots of different ways that we've gotten them involved. So we'd be very happy to work with the SEPAC there. Absolutely.
So it's just they're like SEPACs, or a little different. But in other words, connect to you, find out what the options are, find out, all of this. Now the chat's exploding.
Yeah.
So someone's talking about unified sports and best buddies. They're meeting once a month. That they're saying that it hasn't resulted in inclusive school communities. So I think the challenges that we do is you have to start something, but it takes a while.
Sure.
It takes a while to build. It takes a while to get that buy-in. It takes a while to even kind of educate your own school community. So I was wondering if Mandy or Kerrie, it sounded like Kerrie, you'd gone to the school committee to let them know what's happening. And I was just wondering how much kind of that educational outreach you've had to do within your own school communities and greater community.
Yeah, so it definitely, like you said, doesn't happen overnight and it takes time and it's a way. And changing ways can be hard to many. But once they see the benefits of it all, it just kind of leads to itself. So some steps I have taken myself in our district was I did present to them and I've shared personal stories. I've shared stories from other things, but I also went as far as creating my own young athletes program in town. We went through different sports fields and I ran a clinic all summer. I've ran a fall clinic and showed the importance for our community and how many students would benefit from this. We had over 42 students with or without disabilities over the summer from Westport and surrounding communities join me for a 4-week clinic on Tuesday nights all summer long. So that's just the dedication and the need for all of this. So then taking that and kind of speaking with the school again and saying like, this is the need that we have seen. This is the interest. Can we continue to pursue this? Just pointing all these things out, it's an amazing thing. And then from there, you start to see the community buy-in. I had a family member that wasn't sure if their son should join it. I'm not sure, he's older, should he join it? And then just the other day called me and said, somebody said hi to him on the way out of school and asked if he was going to practice. Like, this is the first time her child had felt noticed. And like, that's, again, now people are starting to see the effects of it. And what other sport are you going to run? And when does it start? And those types of things. So it does take time, but it's not overnight, but you will see it as time goes on.
And I know I can say, I pump the young athletes program every time we have a meeting because honestly, there's not, a lot around here that we really know about. So, but whenever I mention it, we always get great feedback. I'm sure once we start meeting more about it and then talking to, the school committee, we have a mixed, there's politicians, we have actual extra, I don't think they're currently teachers, but they were pre-teachers that had special education in their background. We have like a whole field of different people. So it's a motley crew that I think would be receptive. So I'm eager to present it to them and see what they say. I'm sure they would have no issues because like I said, our basketball alone, from what I understand, has been amazing. Everybody loves it and they just enjoy it so much. So I really feel that it's worth the effort. It's when you get people's interest up and they see the need, especially with the amount of children that are starting to show up even more and more with the need to be able to have this for them. I really feel like school boards, school committee, just all the departments would be put together. I don't really foresee a kickback from it. Not a kickback, fallback from it where anybody would be upset or have any issues. I really feel like everybody would be on board. My feeling, I hope anyways.
Well, and
I think, oh, sorry.
No, from my journey, there was kickback, but it was not the idea or the thing. It was the actual who's paying for this, where's the funding coming,
Right.
Fit into the teacher contract, and we were problem solvers together.
Yeah.
SEPAC started to fundraise some money. They started to find ways to fundraise money. They found ways to put it into budget. So there's ways that you guys can, build that team and find out a way. So that's why I did have to continue to go back. It wasn't just one presentation to the school committee. But yeah, of course, everybody loves it and wants to do it. It's just then working together to figure out the practicality of it all.
And so maybe Denise and Patti, you can maybe, if you have some experience of like, how do you build this out to really expand the inclusive opportunities within your community? Like take the relationships that are built in some of these activities and sport teams to, come into other school activities that are outside of sports, like dances or other clubs, or even town recreation programs or scouting programs. Have you seen that? It's a slow growth, but have you seen that opportunity for a greater inclusive kind of messaging happening within communities?
Absolutely. I'd say one thing that I can really talk to is that we have really seen a surgence of additional unified programs that are being offered from a curriculum perspective, extracurricular perspective, I should say, from unified music to unified art to unified theater, so that students that are not necessarily totally interested in being a part of sports, they have a way to get that belongingness and feeling like they are a part of the school. And so, so again, that's more at the high school level that I've seen that. But I'd also say that, you know, for, I think that comment that if I understood it correctly, is there is a school that does have the best buddies and the unified sports, but they're not feeling like there is kind of that inclusive culture. And that's where I'd say that it does take a little bit of time. But what we've also really found is when you can connect in and somehow get regular education teachers as well, they just have this great ability because they connect with a whole bunch of people throughout the day, you know, with all of the different classes that they teach. And they are constantly sharing what unified sports is. Again, it's a real big education piece for the students in the high school too. And I know that, you know, some of these regular education you know, teachers, I'll give a great example of a math teacher. He loves being a unified coach. He's the football coach and he's a unified track and field coach. And he has, because of in his math classes, he says one of the first things I always talk about is my love for unified track. And that is getting more people to like, hey, that sounds kind of fun. I don't have anything going on in the spring. So that's just kind of what my recommendation might be. And again, we're always willing to help and to support and to see how we can help to create more connections with students with and without ID if you don't feel like it's happening at that school.
Thank you. I'm kind of trying to deal with the chat, but if anybody wants to just raise their hand or even unmute, whatever works for you, that's okay too. We're here to learn and share and ask questions. Someone asks, can the school unified team fundraise through your Polar Plunge dumpster challenge? Sounds like.
Yeah, we gotta stop saying the dumpster.
I know,
Because
I love it though.
Portable pool on wheels.
I want to do
That's
dumpster
right.
diving. I'm just saying.
I've seen
It's
it.
a
It's
pool on
really
wheels.
awesome.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. Patty, you know, if you wouldn't
I will
mind
tell you
sharing
that that plunging, being a part of the mobile plunge at the schools, that really is more of a pay it forward model so that we can get more schools involved. So what we really recommend if you're looking for more money, because again, it's a school sport. For example, if you're looking for more money for your unified basketball program or your unified track program, is we really recommend looking into a booster club and seeing how you can tap into that. I know that some schools have gotten great grants from you know, from within their community so that they can get more funding into their unified sports programs or their best buddies or you know, unified club type programs. So
Okay.
so that's where that stands.
Great, thank you. Kim, you have your hand raised, so I'm going to go to you first and then Rose after, so Kim's first. Thank you.
Hi, yes. I came into this meeting completely thinking I was doing something else, but but it's been a joy listening to all this. I just want to speak from my experience. I have the ability to and privilege of living in Middleborough, who for the past 3 years has received the Unified Champions banners. And our son is in high school now, and I didn't have a lot to do with the community with him just because of multiple things. But now that he's in high school, this is his second year. He did the basketball, the track, the one day of the bocce last year, which we really need to get the bocce into the high school, just saying. We can work on that. I have no idea how this got set up, but I just want to say from being in one of these schools, it's awesome. I just wish there was more activities because he literally would go 5 days a week and on weekends too if he could. He just has thrived in it. And we our son has apraxia and dyspraxia. Mandy, I heard you mention that. So he's very high functioning, but yet still not at that point that he can just, blend in with all the other sports. But thank you for putting this on and giving this opportunity to our kids, because my son's enjoying it and really benefiting from it.
So
Thank
glad.
you, Kim. Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So happy.
So Rose, you also had your hand up.
Yes, I was just gonna say, because I do fundraising and I'm on the PACT committee for my son's private out of district placement, I had learned like that sporting stores like Dick's, they do grants like up to $25,000 for sporting programs. I'm not sure if a lot of schools are aware of that, because I too have been advocating as a PACT parent for something like this to happen at my son's placement, um, which is why I signed up for tonight's thing. And when I was doing a fundraising for his gala, I came across that. I'm like, up, we're saving this, and we're gonna use this for when we could start a unified sporting event for the kids. So I just look out for those things, like sporting companies might offer you free equipment and so forth.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
see this as an opportunity for us to reach down into our communities and say, how do you want to support this? How can we build this? How can we do this so that a young person has something to do every single day after school? I love all of that, but I understand the work that it entails and the timing. So, but let's get started. So if you don't have it in your community, here's the people you need to talk to. We have 2 experienced SEPAC officers who can tell you the ins and outs and share those tips on, how to talk to your school so that they will listen and, help move that forward. And I always think it's finding that one champion in the school district, and it might be a general educator. So that's, something that we need to think about. And then we all need t-shirts, right? Unified together. I'm seniors.
That's right. Yeah, I have mine here. Here we go.
Oh, look at that.
That's right. It's our superhero uniform. I think that one of the greatest things that we can do is work together. So please, we're going to be following up with all of you with the slide deck that we had earlier has our email. And don't go about this alone. Really, the greatest thing you could do is reach out to us have a conversation, and really strategize on how to approach your school. Because we may have some history with that school, or you may give us some information, and we may be able to build from that. But it really is something that it's not that the schools don't want to do it. What I have, and Patty, you may have the same experience or a different experience, but when I'm typically speaking with a new school, the first thing they're worried about is, oh my goodness, this is going to be a lot. Like, we're going to have to figure this out. Oh my goodness, how, where do we start? We have all, as Patty said, we do give grant funding to get started. That's number one. Number two, we have all these free resources that are sincerely plug and play. It's a low lift. There are year-round lesson plans. There are playbooks. So they're not scrambling around trying to figure out how to do this. We have it all for them. And it's just educating. And they may be doing things already in their schools and they don't even know it. And they're already a unified champion school, and we're going to have a partnership with them to build their programming. And that's really what it is. But don't go at it alone. It's great to have a partner like the Special Olympics. And we can really help you explain what this is, because we do it every day. So I really hope you take our email when you get it, and, reach out to us, ask questions. Let's set up a Zoom or a phone call or an in-person meeting, because we'd love to help you. We'd like to be in every single school throughout Massachusetts. We're getting there, but we need your help. We need your help.
And I caution CPACs, start to get the information now. It may not happen till next fall. So you can do it on your own timeline also, and start to figure out who your supporters in the district will be. And, it can be a slow process. I know these 2, they'll work with you. They're really interested in making it happen. So it's not like something that has to happen in January. So start to get the information, start to find out start to build your internal team. And I think it would be more fun if you had some educators and students involved in all of this so that it's really going to meet the local needs of the community and start small. I like that idea of starting small. And once you have a program in your, someone's asking, once you have a sport team, is it easy to add another one? I think probably because the school district says, oh, we know how to do this probably, but you still need a coach.
Yeah, that is true. But the good news is we do, when you add a second sport at your school, we do have some grant money available for the first year again, so that because we fully understand that if you've got the momentum going and you just started basketball, for example, and you're like, my gosh, unified track and fields in the spring, we want to do that. And budget's already been set. So having that money is sometimes it's really a challenge. So that's why for a second sport, we also give you a little bit of seed money so that that can help you to get over the hump before then. The thought is that then that the money that's needed, like any other sport, that gets rolled into the athletic director's budget.
All right, well, we are coming up in the last 3 minutes of the hour, and I just want to thank everybody, Denise, Patti, Kerrie, and Mandy. Thank you so much for sharing this expertise and for helping us to build that inclusive environment that we all seek to have so that eventually we will have the inclusive world that we all seek to have, right? So this is how we do it. We build it a little. And of course, as we were just talking about, co-creation is always the best way to go. So bring other people in. You don't have to do this alone. Partnerships are a wonderful thing. And anytime you can build capacity and help have other people share the load, many hands make light work. So make sure you bring in all of your partners and really figure out what's going to work in your community. So thank you again for bringing this to our attention and the resources and the grant money. That's super cool. So, folks, welcome to National Caregiver Month. Yes, did you know that? So everybody here qualifies. You are all amazing. And I think the thing about it is, especially for some of us as parents of children, youth with special and health needs, we don't think of ourselves as caregivers all the time, but that is who we are. We are caregivers each and every day. And so we want to take a moment to acknowledge that and also know that our governor declared this month Family Caregiver Month. So we are paying a lot of attention to that here in the state of Massachusetts. And if you haven't taken advantage of the Caregiver to Caregiver Respite Network, please make sure that you check that out too. There are resources there for you to get that little bit of a break that you need because Lord knows you deserve it. All right. So make sure you take advantage of that opportunity. Also know we want to take a moment to acknowledge that this coming Monday is Veterans Day. So we want to say happy Veterans Day to people, but more so we want to actually thank our veterans for the sacrifices they've made on behalf of us as citizens here in the United States. So please do make sure that if you're out and about that you take a moment to thank somebody who's made that sacrifice for you. All right. We also have some other things that are coming up in the near future. We have, let's see if I can get this all out, state performance plan and annual performance reports meetings next week. And so you will see that, let's see, on Thursday, November 14th, we'll be talking about school system equity review. On the 21st is early child review. And then in December, on the 3rd is the school age review. And on the 11th is the transition planning and outcomes for students review. So please make sure you go to the Federation website to find information about that and so that you can participate. And then last but not least, yes, we're super excited. I know it's still 2024, but the Visions of Community Conference is coming. I call it Special Needs Homecoming in Massachusetts. So it will be virtual again on Saturday, March 8th. So please make sure that you mark your calendar for that. There will, of course, be some activities that happen in the evenings the week before. So rest assured, it will be another fantastic conference that will give you all kinds of information that will help you as you're moving along in your journey as the amazing caregiver of those amazing kids. So thank you again for joining us this evening. We will see you again next month, but in the meantime, please enjoy your holidays at the end of the month. Pace yourself, take care of yourself. Did I mention the Caregiver to Caregiver Respite Network? That is a great time to take advantage of somebody else who can be supporting you while those lovely angelic children are home for a few extra days. So make sure you take advantage of it. Have a fantastic evening and stay safe. And thank you again to our speakers.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it so much. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.